In the heart of Karachi, behind a closed door, a mother made a choice that changed everything. A night filled with silence, fear, and a secret no one was supposed to uncover. What pushed her to cross that line? And what did her daughter witness in those final moments? This is not just a crime story. This is a story of protection, darkness, and a truth that refuses to stay buried. Watch till the end, because what happens next will stay with you. The ceiling fan turned slowly above her head. Each rotation pushed warm air across the dim room. Syra sat still on the edge of the bed. Her fingers pressed tightly around the glass of water. It trembled, though her hands tried to stay calm. From the hallway came the soft creak of wood, a sound she knew too well, a sound that had changed everything. Her daughter's door was slightly open. A thin line of yellow light cut through the darkness. Syra could hear faint breathing from inside. Uneven, restless, afraid even in sleep. The smell of antiseptic still lingered in the air. It mixed with something heavier, something metallic. She swallowed slowly. Her throat felt dry despite the water. Another creak. Closer now. Her husband's footsteps dragged across the floor. Slow, confident, as if nothing had happened, as if the world inside these walls was still normal. Syra closed her eyes for a moment. She remembered the hospital lights. Bright, cold, blinding against her daughter's pale face. The doctor's voice had been careful. Too careful. Each word placed like fragile glass. Her daughter had not spoken since. Only stared. Only trembled. Only cried without sound. The footsteps stopped outside the bedroom. Silence pressed against the door. Heavy. Breathing on the other side. Syra opened her eyes. Her gaze shifted to the small kitchen knife beside her. It lay on the table. Still. Clean. Waiting. Her heart began to pound. Louder than the fan. Louder than the silence. The door handle moved slightly. A soft click echoed in the room. He pushed the door open. The smell of cheap cologne filled the air. Sharp. Suffocating. He stepped inside. His shadows stretched across the floor. Long. Twisted. Reaching toward her. You are awake, he said. His voice was casual. Almost bored. Syra did not answer. Her grip tightened around the glass. Her knuckles turned pale. He walked closer. Each step slow. Measured. Predatory. The fan creaked again above them. He glanced at the knife. Then at her. A faint smile formed on his lips. You should sleep, he said. Her ears rang. Her chest felt tight. The air seemed to shrink around her. She stood up slowly. The glass slipped from her hand. It shattered on the floor. The sound cut through the silence like a scream. He stopped moving. For a moment. Just a moment. Syra reached for the knife. Her fingers wrapped around the handle. Cold metal against warm skin. Her breath came faster now. He laughed softly. A low, unsettling sound. You think you can scare me, he said. Syra stepped forward. Her feet felt heavy, yet unstoppable. Her eyes burned, not with fear, with something darker, something that had been growing quietly. Since that night, since the hospital, since her daughter stopped speaking. He took another step toward her. Closer. Too close. The smell of him made her stomach twist. Her hand trembled, then steadied. The fan kept turning. Slow. Relentless. She could hear her daughter shift in the next room. A soft whimper. Barely audible. But enough. Enough to break whatever remained inside Syra. The room seemed to shrink into a single point. Just her. And him. And the knife between them. He reached out his hand. Not gently. Never gently. Syra moved faster than she thought possible. The blade flashed under the dim light. A sharp intake of breath filled the room. His eyes widened. Shock. Pure. Unfiltered. The fan continued its slow rotation above them. The creak grew louder. Or maybe everything else became quieter. Syra could feel warmth on her hands. Thick. Spreading. Her breathing turned uneven. Her heart thundered in her ears. He staggered back. His shadow broke apart on the wall. Distorted. Fading. The silence returned. He collapsed heavily onto the floor. The sound echoed through the house. Syra stood frozen, the knife still in her hand, her fingers locked around it, her eyes fixed on the unmoving figure. From a hallway came another sound. Soft footsteps. Light. Careful. Her daughter stood at the door, watching, her small face pale under the dim light. Their eyes met. For the first time in days. For the first time since everything changed. Syra took a step forward. The knife slipped from her hand. It hit the floor with a dull sound. Her daughter did not speak. But she did not look away either. The silence between them felt different now. Heavy, but no longer helpless. And somewhere outside, in the distant streets of Karachi, a siren began to rise. The ceiling fan turned slowly above her head. Each rotation pushed warm air across the dim room. Syra sat on the edge of the bed. Her back was straight. Too straight. As if any movement might break something fragile inside her. A glass of water rested in her hands. It trembled despite her effort to stay calm. From the hallway came a faint creak. Old wood bending under weight. A sound she now feared more than silence. Her daughter's door remained slightly open. A thin blade of yellow light cut into the darkness. Inside, soft breathing. Uneven. Restless. Afraid even in sleep. The smell of antiseptic still clung to the walls. It mixed with something metallic. Something that reminded her of the hospital. Bright lights. Cold sheets. Her daughter's empty stare. Syra swallowed slowly. Her throat felt dry. Another creak echoed. Closer this time. His footsteps dragged along the floor. Slow. Confident. As if nothing had changed. As if he still owned every shadow in this house. Syra closed her eyes briefly. The memory returned without mercy. A broken voice. A trembling hand. Her daughter shrinking into herself. The doctors speaking carefully. Each word wrapped in caution. Each word cutting deeper than the last. Her daughter had not spoken since. Only stared. Only shook. Only cried without sound. The footsteps stopped outside the bedroom. Silence pressed against the door. Heavy. Breathing waited on the other side. Syra opened her eyes. Her gaze moved to the small kitchen knife on the table. It lay still. Clean. Ordinary. Yet it seemed to hum with something dangerous. Her heart began to pound. Louder than the fan. Louder than her thoughts. The handle of the door shifted slightly. A soft click filled the room. The door opened. The smell of cheap cologne entered first. Sharp. Unpleasant. Familiar, in the worst way. He stepped inside. His shadows stretched across the floor. Long. Twisted. Reaching toward her. "You are awake," he said. His voice was calm. Too calm. Syra said nothing. Her grip tightened on the glass. Her knuckles turned pale. He walked closer. Each step slow. Deliberate. Predatory. The fan creaked above them. He glanced at the knife. Then back at her. A faint smile touched his lips. "You worry too much," he said. Her ears rang. Her chest tightened. The air felt thinner. Harder to breathe. She stood slowly. The glass slipped from her hand. It shattered on the floor. The sharp sound filled the room. He stopped. Just for a moment. Syra reached for the knife. Her fingers wrapped around the handle. Cold metal met warm skin. Her breath quickened. He let out a low laugh. "You think this changes anything," he said. Syra stepped forward. Her legs felt heavy. Yet something pulled her onward. Her eyes burned. Not with fear. With something deeper. Something darker. Something that had been growing since that night. Since the hospital. Since her daughter stopped speaking. He stepped closer. Too close. The smell of him made her stomach twist. Her hand trembled. Then steadied. The fan continued its slow turning. Relentless. She heard a faint sound from the hallway. A small movement. A soft whimper. Her daughter. That sound broke the last barrier inside her. The room narrowed into a single moment. Just her. And him. And the knife between them. He reached out. Not gently. Never gently. Syra moved. Faster than thought. The blade flashed in the dim light. A sharp breath filled the air. His eyes widened. Shock spread across his face. The fan creaked again. Louder now. Or maybe everything else faded. Warmth spread across her hands. Thick. Sticky. Real. Her breathing turned uneven. Her heart pounded violently. He staggered backward. His shadow broke apart on the wall. Distorted. Shaking. He collapsed onto the floor. The sound echoed through the house. Heavy. Final. Syra stood frozen. The knife still in her hand. Her fingers locked around it. Her eyes fixed on him. Waiting. For movement. For denial. For anything. But there was only stillness. Then a sound behind her. Soft footsteps. Light. Careful. Syra turned slowly. Her daughter stood at the door. Small. Pale. Watching everything. Their eyes met. For the first time in days. For the first time since the silence began. Syra took a step forward. The knife slipped from her hand. It hit the floor with a dull sound. Her daughter did not speak. But she did not look away. Her breathing was shallow. Her hands clutched the doorframe. Syra moved closer. Slowly. As if approaching something fragile. Come here, Syra whispered. Her voice cracked. And used. Unsteady. The girl hesitated. Her eyes flicked to the body on the floor. Then back to her mother. A long moment passed. Heavy. Stretching. Then a small step forward. Bare feet against the cold floor. Another step. Closer now. Syra knelt down. Her hands trembled as she reached out. She stopped midway. Afraid. Afraid of scaring her again. Afraid of everything she had become. Her daughter stepped closer. Close enough to touch. Close enough to see the tears forming in Syra's eyes. The silence between them shifted. Still heavy. But no longer empty. From outside, distant sounds began to rise. A dog barking. A car passing slowly. Then, far away, a siren. Faint at first. Growing louder. Syra's breath caught. Reality returned like a sudden storm. Her eyes moved to the door. Then to the hallway. Then back to her daughter. We have to go, she said softly. No response. Only those wide eyes watching her. Listening. Understanding more than words. Syra stood quickly. Her legs felt weak. Unsteady. But she forced herself to move. She grabbed a shawl from the chair. Wrapped it around her shoulders. Then gently took her daughter's hand. It was cold. Small. Fragile. But it held on. Tightly. As another sound echoed from outside. Closer now. The siren growing louder. And the house, once filled with silence, began to feel like it was closing in around them. The ceiling fan turned slowly above her head. Each rotation pushed thick, warm air across the dim room. Syra sat on the edge of the bed, her spine stiff, her shoulders locked in place. A glass of water rested in her trembling hands. The surface of the water quivered with every small movement. From the hallway came a soft creak. Old wood complaining under a familiar weight. A sound that now lived inside her bones. Her daughter's door remained slightly open. A narrow line of yellow light stretched across the floor. Inside, faint breathing. Uneven. Restless. Afraid even in sleep. The smell of antiseptic still lingered in the house. It clung to the curtains. To the bedsheets. To her skin. Beneath it, something metallic. Something that reminded her of the hospital corridor. Bright lights. Cold silence. Her daughter's empty eyes staring at nothing. Syra swallowed. Her throat burned. Another creak. Closer now. His footsteps dragged slowly across the floor. Unhurried. Certain. As if the walls themselves belonged to him. As if nothing had changed. Syra closed her eyes for a moment. The memory returned sharply. A broken whisper. A trembling body. A silence that followed like a curse. The doctor's voice. Soft. Measured. Each word careful. Each word unbearable. Her daughter had not spoken since that night. Not a single word. Only silence. Only fear. Only those wide, haunted eyes. The footsteps stopped outside the bedroom. Silence gathered at the door. Heavy. Waiting. Breathing on the other side. Syra opened her eyes. Her gaze shifted to the small kitchen knife on the table. It lay motionless. Clean. Ordinary. Yet it pulled at her attention like something alive. Her heart began to pound harder. Louder than the fan. Louder than the silence pressing in. The door handle moved slightly. A faint click broke the stillness. The door opened. The smell of cheap cologne entered first. Sharp. Unpleasant. Unavoidable. He stepped inside. His shadows stretched long across the floor. Twisted. Reaching toward her feet. "You are still awake," he said. His voice calm. Too calm. Syra did not answer. Her grip tightened around the glass. Her knuckles turned pale. He walked forward. Each step slow. Deliberate. Dangerous. The fan creaked above them. He glanced at the knife. Then back at her face. A faint smile appeared. Cold. Unsettling. "You think too much," he said quietly. Her ears rang. Her chest tightened painfully. The air felt thinner with every second. She stood slowly. The glass slipped from her hand. It shattered against the floor. The sharp sound echoed through the room. He stopped. Just for a moment. Syra reached for the knife. Her fingers wrapped around the handle. Cold metal pressed into her palm. Her breath quickened. He let out a soft laugh. Low. Mocking. "You cannot change what is already done," he said. Syra stepped forward. Her legs heavy, but moving. Her eyes burned. Not with fear anymore. With something darker. Something that had been building silently. Since that night. Since the hospital. Since her daughter stopped speaking. He moved closer. Too close. His presence suffocating. Her stomach twisted at his smell. Her hand trembled. Then became still. The fan continued its slow rotation. Relentless. A faint sound came from the hallway. A small movement. A quiet whimper. Her daughter. That sound shattered the last piece of hesitation. The world narrowed. Just one moment. Just one choice. He reached out his hand. Not gently. Never gently. Syra moved. Fast. Sharp. The blade caught the dim light. A sudden breath filled the room. His eyes widened in shock. The fan creaked again above them. Everything else seemed to fade. Warmth spread across her hands. Thick. Real. Unavoidable. Her breathing turned uneven. Her heart thundered loudly. He staggered backward. His shadow broke apart on the wall. Distorted. Shaking. He collapsed onto the floor. The sound heavy. Final. Syra stood frozen. The knife still in her hand. Her fingers locked tightly around it. Her eyes fixed on the unmoving body. Waiting. Hoping. Fearing movement. But none came. Only silence. Then a sound behind her. Soft footsteps. Light. Careful. Syra turned slowly. Her daughter stood at the doorway. Small. Pale. Watching everything. Their eyes met. A long moment passed. Heavy. Unspoken. Syra took a step forward. The knife slipped from her hand. It struck the floor with a dull sound. Her daughter did not speak. But she did not look away. Her breathing shallow. Her fingers gripping the doorframe tightly. Syra moved closer. Slowly. Gently. As if approaching something fragile. "Come here," Syra whispered. Her voice weak. Unsteady. The girl hesitated. Her gaze flicked toward the body on the floor. Then back to her mother. A long pause stretched between them. Then a small step forward. Bare feet touching the cold ground. Another step. Closer now. Syra knelt down. Her hands trembled as she reached out. She stopped midway. Fear rising again. Fear of breaking her child further. Fear of what she had become. Her daughter stepped closer. Close enough to feel her warmth. Close enough to see tears in her eyes. The silence between them changed. Still heavy, but no longer empty. From outside, distant noises began to grow. A dog barking sharply. A vehicle slowing near the street. Voices faint in the distance. Then a siren. Soft at first. Then rising. Closer. Syra's breath caught. Reality rushed back. Her eyes darted toward the door. Then toward the hallway. Then back to her daughter. "We have to leave," she said quietly. No reply. Only those wide eyes watching her. Understanding more than words. Syra stood quickly. Her legs weak. Unsteady. But moving. She grabbed a shawl from the chair. Wrapped it tightly around herself. Then she took her daughter's hand.
Small, cold,
But holding firmly, they moved toward the hallway. Each step cautious. Each step heavy with consequence. The house felt different now. Smaller. Darker. Closing in around them. As they reached the doorway, Syra paused. A sound came from behind.
soft.
Uncertain. Not from the hallway. Not from outside. From inside the room. She turned slowly. Her breath shallow. Her eyes fixed on the floor. On the place where he lay. For a moment nothing moved. Then something shifted.
Barely.
Almost invisible. A faint sound escaped the stillness. Not silence anymore. The faint sound did not belong to silence anymore. It was a breath. Shallow. Broken. But real. Syra froze where she stood. Her daughter's hand tightened in hers. Small fingers gripping with sudden fear. The air in the room shifted. Heavy again. Dangerous again. Syra turned slowly. Every movement felt deliberate.
Careful.
Measured. Her eyes fixed on the floor. On the place where he lay. His chest moved. Barely. A weak rise. A fragile fall. Not gone. Not yet. A low sound escaped him. Something between a groan and a breath. Unfinished. Unstable. Her daughter stepped back slightly. A quiet gasp caught in her throat. Syra felt it. That fear returning. The same fear that had stolen her voice. That fear could not be allowed to grow again.
Not now.
Not ever. Syra released her daughter's hand gently. Stay here, she whispered. Her voice soft. But firm. Her daughter did not argue. She only watched. Eyes wide. Unblinking. Syra walked back into the room. Each step slow. Grounded. The fan still turned above. Unaware. Unchanging. She stopped beside him. Looked down. His face pale. His eyes barely open. Trying to focus. Trying to understand. A weak movement of his hand. Reaching. Not for help. Never for help. Syra's breathing steadied. For the first time that night. Her hands no longer trembled. Her mind no longer raced. There was only clarity now.
Cold. Certain.
Final. She bent down slowly. Not with anger. Not with panic. With purpose. Her voice came out low. Almost calm. You will not touch her again.
He tried to speak.
No words came. Only a broken sound. Syra stood back up. Her eyes did not leave him. Seconds passed. Heavy. Unmoving. Then his chest stopped rising. No breath followed. No sound. No movement. Only stillness remained. True stillness. The kind that did not threaten. The kind that did not return. Syra waited. Just to be sure. The fan creaked above her. Time stretched. Then settled. She turned away.
Slowly.
Without hesitation. Her daughter still stood at the doorway. Frozen in place. Syra walked toward her. This time, she did not stop halfway. She knelt and pulled her daughter close.
Carefully. Gently.
As if holding something sacred. For a moment, the girl remained stiff. Uncertain. Then slowly. Very slowly.
She leaned in.
Her small hands gripping her mother's clothes.
Tight.
Desperate. Syra closed her eyes. Held her closer. The silence between them changed again. No longer empty. No longer broken. Just quiet. Safe. From outside, the siren grew louder. Closer now. Voices followed. Distant. Approaching. Reality knocking at the edges of their world. Syra pulled back slightly. She looked into her daughter's eyes.
Softly. Steadily.
It is over, she said. Her voice firm.
Certain.
Her daughter's lips trembled. A fragile moment passed. Then barely audible. A whisper. One single word. Amy. Syra's breath caught. Tears filled her eyes instantly. But she did not look away. She did not break. She only held her tighter. As the sirens reached the gate. As footsteps approached the door. As the outside world finally arrived. Inside the house, the fan continued its slow turning. The shadows no longer stretched in fear. The silence no longer hid anything. And in that quiet space, between the fading past and the uncertain future, a mother and her daughter stood together. Unbroken.